We have 31 AP courses. Multiple times over the last 2 decades, Savannah Arts has had the highest SAT scores in the state of Georgia. We have numerous students, and it's growing and growing each year, who are participating in the dual enrollment options at Georgia Southern and at other universities across the state. And so the academic side of our school continues to be a huge part of who we are and what we're doing. Now, some of you remember 2 years ago, some things kind of changed. We've got no sound. Can you help them out there? Or? Do you need some help? Okay, we think we got it. Was it the whole time or just part of the time? Okay. For those of you online, we'll figure out a way to bring you up to speed. The important thing is auditions will continue at Savannah Arts Academy. Okay? All right, so let's talk academics a little bit. 2 years ago, almost to the day, all of us went home and school kind of changed drastically. And I hesitate sharing that because I might cause a little panic in some of y'all. It really changed what we do and how school looks. There was an announcement from Governor Kemp and Superintendent Woods announcing, this was in 2020, the school year 2020-21, that all testing would be suspended. So for 2 years, we didn't have any testing data. And this year, we're hoping everything goes well, we should have testing data again. But we didn't have any for 2 years. And then universities started saying, you know what, test optional. And we're not talking about just some universities. Even some of the biggest well-known universities are going test optional, especially for the next couple of years. So we've got this academic kind of hole. We used to have GPA and test data that we could use to kind of judge and see how our students were going to come in and how they were going to do. Without that information, we've had students who have come in and really struggled. All of our courses are either honors or AP. And so if a student isn't ready for that, it becomes us setting a student up for failure. And in fact, we're already looking ahead for next year to help some of our students, and we're putting a couple support things in place that we'll be able to announce here in the next probably couple weeks, if not for sure by the end of the school year, to help some of our students who are struggling academically and get them the help that they need. So, want to be clear again, academic requirements will continue at Savannah Arts Academy. So, why is there all this question going on around in the community? Last week, a group of principals who have choice programs met to talk about this concern that we have that there's no test data for us to kind of match up with GPA. For 2 years, we've accepted students with only GPA and no other kind of background or other information to help us know. And so I was brought into the conversation on Friday, and we're having a discussion about what else can we use to help us get a better picture of our applicants so that it's not just GPA. GPA is a great indicator, but with numerous middle schools that we're polling from and private schools and whatnot, there's not necessarily a calibration as to what a 90 is, or what a 95 is, or what an 80 is. And so with just that one picture, there's no standardized GPA or grading across all of those schools. And so we needed more information. So as a committee, we are looking at other options. We have not made any decisions. We haven't made any recommendations. We are at a point where we're trying to gather information to figure out, is there a better way or a more comprehensive way to do that academic requirement piece for all of our choice programs in the county. And it's a great process to really look at and understand who the students are and not just go off of one metric, and a metric that's not standardized either. And so that's the conversation that's being had right now. We're also having the discussion, is this something we do for the next round of choice programs, or do we wait another year? And all of that will kind of be flushed out in the coming weeks and months as we have more discussion about that. But academic requirements will continue at SAA. And along those same lines, part of what we had during the audition conversation is the the courses that we have are honors and AP. If we lower that academic expectation, now we have to retool all of our teachers, and we have to start teaching courses that we've never taught at Savannah Arts. And so that then goes back to that same conversation that we would have with the arts, we now have with the academics, in that we're having to shift teachers around. Teachers are teaching 4 preps, 5 preps, whatever it might be. We have a standard that we've set. We have a course catalog that is set. We have teachers that have been teaching, and all of those pieces have to kind of stay at the same point, or we have to completely retool the school. And to completely retool the school changes the aspects that we're really looking for as we continue with this. Now, like I said, we're looking for ways to get a better picture of the applicants and not just one metric. That doesn't mean that a student who struggles academically couldn't come to Savannah Arts. We would have to figure out a way to help support them. But then they'd have to have maybe an arts strength, or the opposite. A student that's really great in academics but struggles with arts, maybe we put something in place there. So we're looking at different options so that we can meet a broader community while still maintaining the expectations and the standards that we have set for this institution, okay? Now, our mission statement that was set years ago for Savannah Arts Academy was to develop graduates who exemplify artistic and academic excellence. Both pieces, not just one, not just the other, but both pieces. And it's even in our name, the Savannah Arts Academy. And the academy piece has always been about the academic side of learning and the arts, the creative side of learning. In fact, this is one of my favorite paintings. It's the School of Athens. It's by Raphael, and it's found in the signing room in the Vatican Museum. And it exemplifies what we're trying to do here. We're trying to bring together the arts and the academics, the philosophy, the sciences, the math, the humanities, all of those in one place where we can help our students grasp both concepts. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the telescope that was just launched into space recently. Okay, here's an amazing feat of engineering. Huge telescope, it's 5 stories tall, it's as wide and has a footprint of a tennis court. And they had to figure out, how do we put this thing in a rocket, send it into space, unfold it, put it together all by itself, and then shoot it off in the direction that we need it to go. Now, yes, there are lots of science and math folks working on that, but there's a whole lot of creativity going on in that project. And so to say that we can only be academic or we can only be artsy, creative, we're living in a world where those are merging more and more every day. And we're creating the students that are going to be ready for those responsibilities. All right, how do we do that though? How do we marry those two ideas and help our teachers and students be ready for it? We do it by fundamental teaching and learning. And what that means is oftentimes we get caught up in the projects, we get caught up in the different programs and projects that come around in education every few years. The acronyms, the binders, these special things that we put on the shelf and we're supposed to learn, online programs that are going to fix all of our problems. You've seen these if you've been in education at all. We've been successful at Savannah Arts, which means we've done something right. How do we get better? And we get better by focusing on the fundamentals. So on January 3rd, I met with all of the teachers, and we spent some time deciding what are going to be the fundamentals of teaching and learning that we will focus on at Savannah Arts to help make our teachers better teachers and our students better learners. And we came up with these 5. Now, these are just icons, but if we put them with some words, they'll make a little more sense. Content knowledge. Whether you're in band or you're in chemistry, there's content knowledge that you need to know. Communication. A teacher can talk all day long, but that doesn't mean that anybody's getting it. And a student can sit in class all day long hearing something, but that doesn't mean anybody's getting it. And so communication becomes very important. Engagement. How are we engaging our students in their own learning? Not just here's all the stuff I know, but how do we get them to engage in that learning process? The culture of our classrooms. Do we have a culture that is welcoming, that allows students to take a risk, that allows them to go through the learning process and be brave enough to do that? And then finally, adaptability. If there's one skill that all of us have learned in one way or another, is adaptability over the last 2 years. As everything has changed and we've had to adjust and move, and our famous word pivot, all of these things, we have gained a better sense of adaptability over the last 2 years than perhaps any time in the last few decades. The other piece is Bloom's taxonomy. Now I'm going to ask, how many of you are familiar with Bloom's taxonomy? Okay, if you're not, go look it up. This is how we talk about thinking in education, is using Bloom's taxonomy. And it's divided into, you see 6 different pieces there, but it's really divided into 2 pieces. We have what we call the higher order thinking and the lower order thinking. Now, higher is not better than lower, just higher requires the lower, lower doesn't require the higher, okay? Now, do I have someone who's brave enough to come up here and answer some questions? I need someone brave. Come on up. Give him a round of applause. He's about ready to get up in front of all of the Savannah Arts parents and be drilled by the principal. So, all right, you ready?
I'm ready.
Come stand right over here. All right, first and last name for the audience.
Brendan Ferrara.
And how are you tonight?
I'm fantastic.
All right, here we go. We're going to go through Bloom's taxonomy so that we can kind of show people what this means. So, do you remember what you ate for dinner last Wednesday?
No.
How about Thursday?
No.
Friday?
Yes.
Okay, what did you eat for dinner last Friday?
Chick-fil-A. I'm embarrassed.
Chick-fil-A, all right. There's a little shout out for Chick-fil-A there. Okay, so you remember what you had. That's the first level, just thinking back and remembering a fact, all right? Next we have understand. Tell us some of the main ingredients in a Chick-fil-A meal.
Okay, so you have potatoes, you have chicken, you have the batter, and a boat ton of grease.
Okay, so does that sound about right? Was it a bun?
Yes, oh yeah. So bun, cheese, lettuce, tomato, some ketchup probably somewhere.
Okay, and there's some other ingredients we're not allowed to talk about because they're secret, all right?
Right,
so those French fries, okay, is there something else, another meal that you might eat those French fries with?
Steak.
Okay, waffle fries with steak, everybody okay with that? Okay, what about the chicken? Is there something, a different side that might go with that chicken?
Baked beans.
Okay, baked beans and a chicken sandwich, all right. So we've applied now. We've taken what we know about the meal and we've said, you know what, this could be used in other places, all right? So we're moving our way up the thinking order here, okay? Next, have you had dinner today?
No.
Are you planning on eating today?
Yes.
Okay, what is it tonight? And don't say Chick-fil-A.
Depends on how late this goes, it may be cereal, I don't know.
All right, let's go with cereal, okay,
yeah.
cereal. Let's compare those two.
Okay.
A bowl of cereal versus Chick-fil-A. What are some things that you would say are comparing between those two?
Well, first of all, it sounds like I eat really unhealthy. I don't eat this bad normally, but some similarities between the two?
Sure, similarities or differences, either one.
Or differences, okay. Quick and easy, certainly, right off the bat. A lot of carbohydrates, unfortunately. A lot of differences, certainly in the way that you eat them. Who's preparing them, where I'm getting it, the cost certainly is a difference.
Okay, so a whole number of things. So that's analyzing that information, all right? We're starting to figure out some different things there, okay? So now next, 5-star rating. What would you rate your Chick-fil-A meal?
It was pretty good. Not healthy, but it was tasty.
Okay, 5-star rating would require a star.
So, oh, sorry, my apologies. 4.
Okay, a 4-star. Okay, can you defend? Why would you say 4-star? What kept it from being that 5?
Probably my conscience in terms of it not being healthy.
All right.
And price.
And price, all right. Price as well. All right, and then finally, if you took those same ingredients, we got chicken, we got potatoes, we got a bun, is there something else that you could create with that? Sure. And what might it be?
You could bake the chicken rather than fry it. You could bake the potatoes rather than fry them.
All right. So now we've created something totally different with the information we have. All right. Thank you very much. Round of applause, please. When we get up into that upper level, we are what we sometimes call de-Googlifying our learning. Okay. To begin with, almost all of those pieces could have been, we could have done an internet search to find the answer for that, right? Obviously, we couldn't internet search what did someone have for dinner, but once we know what that is, we can find out what the ingredients are. We can find out suggestions for other sides or other entrees, right? But we want to get our students up in that higher order thinking. And this is something that we are going to be pushing and working on here at Savannah Arts, is not just working on the remember and understanding pieces, but getting our students into that those upper levels of Bloom's taxonomy, the higher order thinking, so we can help our students become thinkers and learners and not just reciters, not just getting the answer back to you, okay? Now, typically, I would stand up here and give you some data as to where we are and what's been going on at Savannah Arts. So let me give you a different set of data. So 3 years ago, we had a full school year, 2018, 2019, all right? All those kids did a great job, our seniors graduated, and we moved into 2019, 2020. That was only 3/4 of a year. And as we said earlier, without a lot of testing, we missed out on a whole bunch of pieces. So now, those juniors from 2018, 2019 became seniors and they graduated. 2020, 21, we did this online hybrid thing. There was still no testing. Certain courses were different, the way that they were held. Dual enrollments had a whole bunch of different aspects to them. And those sophomores in that early year finally graduate. Okay, so now we're in 21, 22. We have a full year. The freshmen are now seniors, and they'll graduate. And so this will be the first time we can have some comparative longitudinal data. And so what we're doing right now is we are gathering data from 2018, 2019. Now, crazy as that may seem, we're having to go into like archives to pull some of that data out so that we can then compare this summer to what our seniors are doing right now and start getting a sense of what have the last 2 years really done in education, and get some ideas as to our grade distribution, our AP pass rates, our go-on rates, how many of our students are continuing on to university, all these things. Now, I recognize that this year and 2018, 2019 still are not the same thing, but that's the closest data that we're gonna have here for a little while to be able to really compare and see what we're doing, where we're going, and how we're gonna get to our next steps. So, part of a process here that we have in education is called accreditation. Accreditation is a process that we go through every 5 years, and we get kind of a stamp of approval on our transcripts, on our diplomas, so that when that information goes to another high school or to a university, that gives credibility to our work and to the things that we're doing. And so we go through this every 5 years, and this year just happens to be the year that we get to go through this, which is okay. The process has been really good. We've worked as a staff to really pull some information together and whatnot, and we're at a point, we'll do our review next month, towards the end of April, but we're at a point where we need some information from you all. And this is over the last 5 years. If you think about your experience, some of you who have had varying experiences, obviously, here at Savannah Arts over the last 5 years, but we're going to ask if you have time. We would love for you to fill out a survey. And this survey will give us information that we can then use in our accreditation process. So you can find that at survey.savannah.artsacademy.com. You can scan that QR code, and it's also available on our info page. And we would love to have parents give some information, help us understand and know what's going on, where things are, and where we need to go with it. All right, so I'll leave that up there just for one more second. And hopefully those of you at home will take the time to open up another window and do the same thing. Survey.savannah.artsacademy.com. All right, the phones are down, so I think we can move on. All right, finally, one more piece that I really want to talk about today. This building is about to go through a major renovation. Over $20 million have been allocated for Savannah Arts Academy to be renovated. And we're thrilled about it. And I can see my seniors in the back going, wait a second, that's not fair. So we have partnered with Pat Mathis and McKnight Construction to get this project underway. I'm very excited about it. I've already met with them. They're a wonderful crew. We're going to have Brooks as our project manager with McKnight, and Doris and Carlos will be our on-site superintendents for each of the two companies. And we're just we're finishing up some of the bidding process, whatnot. That'll go to the board hopefully in April. If not, it'll go in May, and then we'll get kicked off here pretty soon. But let me walk you through some of the things that are going to happen to the building. Demolition and replacing. Basically, our major systems are going to be upgraded. The HVAC, that's heating and cooling. All those times where you hear your students say, it was really hot in Mrs. So-and-so's room, it was really cold in Mr. So-and-so's room, all of that is going to be upgraded and completely redone. The electric, all the electricity, the sockets and things like that will be replaced. Lighting, the district's partnered with Georgia Power, and Georgia Power will be replacing all the lighting in the building, upgrading to LED lighting in all the classrooms. The fire system will receive a whole new fire system. The PA intercom system will be replaced, and then new security system as well. The vestibule, so all of you came in through this entrance out here. We've got the beautiful pillared entrance, and then we have this large vestibule, which is great. It's a beautiful entrance, but from a safety standpoint, someone can come in that front door and just kind of go wherever. And so schools are now outfitted with what we call a security vestibule. So as you come in, there's some pillars just before you come into the auditorium. You can notice on your way out that we will be putting basically a glass storefront there, and we'll now have a double entrance. And so we'll do some modifications to the office so that when someone enters the building, really the only place they can go is into the office to check in, and we can make sure that we don't have folks roam in the building without us knowing about it. Then this beautiful theater is going to be completely redone. So balcony seating, we've got what I'm told are the original seats up in the balcony. Those will be going, and we'll be putting seats up there so that we can utilize the balcony. Taking our capacity from about 650 just here on the main floor to almost 1,200 seats in this venue. HVAC, you see this big column and these vents and everything here on the side, those will all be going away. And the HVAC will be rerouted through the ceiling and through the balcony deck so that we can have heating and cooling, but we don't have these big, loud vents throughout the whole auditorium. New sound system. We currently have about 20 speakers in this venue. By the time it's done, according to the plans, we'll have about 98 speakers, front to back, all sorts of things. A new fly system so that we can raise and lower scenery. All the electrical, the control rooms, new acoustic panels on the side, virtually everything, anything and everything in this, and it will just be a wonderful space. We're excited to go through that process. Now, there will be some possible disruptions during this, okay? So I've added our little adaptability icon up there. The first piece will be that the site work, we'll have to do some site work outside for this. And then as we go through, I'm working with McKnight as they get their kind of plan put together, and we'll start figuring out how we can shift certain classrooms so that they can work maybe in 3 classrooms for 2 weeks. And then once they're done with that, they'll move to a different one. And we'll kind of shift some classes around and make things work. We've already talked about, you can't shut down all my science labs. If you want to do one set, then we'll go to the other set. And so we're putting together a plan so that we can minimize the disruptions, but knowing that we want this project to keep moving forward. If we wait for just summers, this is a 4-year project. If we allow them to do some work while we're in the building and we kind of dual occupancy, then we can get this project done hopefully in about 18 to 24 months. If we're done this time 2 years from now, I'm going to be really thrilled. But possibly earlier, and then of course, everybody's well aware of supply chain. It's a new buzzword in our life, and we'll just see what happens. But the project should be kicking off here in May. They're going through all the pre-planning stuff right now of getting bids and whatnot. Now, it's a lot of words. I'm hoping that you're interested in at least seeing some of the renderings of what this is all going to look like. So here's the auditorium from my vantage point when this is all said and done. So where these big columns are for HVAC, we'll actually have some light trees there so that they can light the stage from the sides. And then from the balcony look, and then finally from the audience. Now, that's not the only thing that's getting a big upgrade. We're also going to be building a brand new cafeteria. And the cafeteria will go where the faculty parking lot is right now. So for those who aren't sure, that's this parking lot over here. And that will be just a single story beautiful cafeteria with some great landscaping, new fencing around the property. The architect has taken cues from the original building and integrated those into the new plan to make that just a beautiful addition. It will be connected to the building, so we don't have to go outside, we don't have to prop doors open. It'll be connected, and then inside, just a great space. And we're waiting on all the final design colors and stuff. We want to make sure that it doesn't look like it's a cafeteria for another high school. We want to make sure it looks like ours. But some great pieces there, and some, a little bit different setup so that we can even hold some meetings and hold some, something like this there instead of utilizing the whole theater for something this small. So, like I said, that's about an 18-month to 2-year project. We'll see what it all boils down to, but there'll be a lot of action going on. Part of that adaptability is going to be us, once the theater closes down, moving those performances that we love so much off-site. And we've already started reaching out to theaters and venues off-site. And then Mr. Lundin, one of our drama teachers, came to me and said, if we have all this off-site, how are we going to get stuff from the school to the other location? And then I was meeting with some folks from Vaden Automobile Group, and kind of just threw that out. Hey, do you guys have trucks by chance? And they said, we've got 37 trucks. You give us a heads up, we'll transport your stuff from point A to point B and back. And so as you think about the things that you have that might be helpful in this process, we would love to hear from you, because it's definitely going to be there's going to be some adapting that we're going to have to figure out as we work through the theater being closed and all these other inconveniences that are going to end up being wonderful things for our school. So let me just kind of close. We love the performances that happen at Savannah Arts, and we're thrilled to be getting back to that and being able to welcome folks into the school, having PTA meetings, having parent meetings. It's on the horizon. We hope that you'll stay with us just a little bit longer for all those pieces. The arts are still part of Savannah Arts, and the arts require auditions, so auditions will continue at Savannah Arts. Academics is so important, and if students are willing to put that work in, and they've shown that they're ready for that, we want them here. We are working with the other choice programs to create a better way of getting a picture of the academics of our students and their readiness for a choice program. That's coming. We'll be able to share more with that later, but the academic piece is still a high expectation at our choice schools, and especially here at Savannah Arts. Savannah Arts is about the arts and the academics. It's not one or the other. It's not, well, I'm just going to focus on one. We want our students to be leaving here, as we said, exemplifying excellence in both academics and arts. We're going to focus on the fundamentals to help students and teachers grow and make the school even better. You don't come into a school that's had this much success and say, well, we're just going to do it all differently. So instead, we are focusing on the fundamentals that have made this great and aligning ourselves back with that after 2 years of just shifting and moving and trying to stay with it. This is a way that we're going to bring it back to the best teaching and learning that we can provide, both teachers and students. And then finally, we'd love your input. Please fill out those surveys. There's one for students, for staff, and for parents. So please click on the parent one. We'd love to hear from you. Finally, huge renovation, great opportunities for us to really enjoy the space and not be hindered by the historicness of our building, if I can say that, and really create just an amazing place for our students to learn. Savannah Arts Academy, I came here because of the description of this school. I came here because of what this school is. I ran a choice program. I started a high school that was a choice high school. I was the principal at the #1 high school in the state of Kentucky, and my background is in music. And so if there's any better fit in the United States, I don't know where it is. Not to mention the beautiful landscape that we have. I'm excited to see where we go with this. I'm excited with where we've been and what the future holds for Savannah Arts. And I appreciate you being here tonight. Thank you very much. All right, if you'd like to go ahead and end the stream, we good?